Sabha Saraswati Namaha. Welcome to all of you. This is the second lecture presentation by Girish Muralidhar. It's going to be a series. So we expect all of you to attend in more numbers also. Because it is a pleasure for you and for us it is. So this is what it is. And so let me introduce again Girish Muralidhar, though all of you know, but still for a few of them who have missed the first lecture, I am going to just introduce. Girish Muralidhar is an HR professional by occupation and a writer at heart. His area of interest and passion are the numerous Shiva temples of Tamil Nadu and the Itihasas and Puranas behind them. Writing under the pen name Sivadasan, he hopes to capture and bring to light the Sthala Puranas of all those places in all the earnestness that Shiva Kripa bestows. All the very best, always. You are always blessed, Girish. Before we start the presentation, I want Girish's parents to light the lamps here as an auspicious beginning. And even Anand and myself will light two of them. Today being, Pradosha. I have kept 8, so yeah, we can all light. Please come. Take pictures. He's giving a candle. He's giving a candle. So you can like Girish, do also please. Candle. Take a picture. Come. So today we have one extra attraction. We have one beautiful singer, she's going to start the invocation prayer. Her name is Desiraju. She is a student of Carnatic music, a budding vocalist. She calls herself a budding vocalist, but not so. She has been performing and winning awards. She is a student of Vidwan Sri Ramakrishnan Murthy, Dr. Maladi Ravikumar, and he is also a second-year student at the Madras Music Academy's Advanced School of Carnatic Music. She has performed in various concerts and also has won awards at several competitions. Snigdha also holds a bachelor's degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Shastra University. So we welcome Snigdha Desiraju.
ಮುಜುಕುಂದಾದಿ सकलागम मंत्र तंत्र सार ज्ञानुरक्तये अकथादित्रिरेखात्मकाधार प्रवृत्तये सकल निष्कल स्वरूप सच्चित् सुखव्यक्तये विकल्प भेद लुप्तये विटंक रूप शक्तये त्यागराजाय नमस्ते सकलागम मंत्र तंत्र सार ज्ञानुरक्तये अकथादित्रिरेखात्मकाधार प्रवृत्तये सकल निष्कल स्वरूप सच्चित् सुखव्यक्तये विकल्प भेद लुप्तये विटंक रूप शक्तये त्यागराजाय नमस्ते नमस्ते कात्यायनीपते पशुपते सिंहासनपते त्यागराजाय नमस्ते
That was a beautiful beginning. Thank you so much, Snigdha. And I ask Girish to take over now. Welcome.
हर नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव गोपिका जीवन स्मरणं गोविंदा गोविंदा चिद्रूपेण परिव्याप्तं त्रैलोक्यं सदाचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः श्रीकान्तो मातलो यस्य जननी सर्वमङ्गला जनकः शङ्करो देवः तं वन्दे कुञ्जराननं सरस्वती महाभागे विद्ये कमललोचने विश्वरूपे विशालाक्षि विद्यां देहि नमोस्तुते दर्शनात् अप्रसादसि जननात् कमलालये काश्यन्तु मरणान् मुक्तिः स्मरणात् करुणाचले श्रीहरे नमः नमः सभाभ्यः सभापति Bhagavan has bestowed his anugraham by bringing us together in this Kamalaalayam Sabha. Ambika auntie, Anand uncle, Krishna have been very kind in having me over once again. Snigdha Desikaji was also very kind to perform the Upodghata Kriti for the evening, Tyagarajaya Namaste, which beautifully describes Tyagesha as Muni, Pakshi, Mriga, Kitadi, Mukti, Pradat Kirte. That is, he who gives Mukti to not just Munis, but to birds, insects, animals, and everyone else. It is also a matter of great joy for me personally, as my wonderful parents, Srimati Geeta Muralidhar, Sri Aliman Muralidhar have come, my beloved grandmother, Srimati Lakshmi Pichumani, my beloved aunt, Srimati Rani Ramaswamy, family members, elders, colleagues, devotees have all come together in this Sabha today. The name of this Sabha, Kamalaalayam, is another name for the city Tiruvarur, where Bhagavan resides as Tyagesha, the Lord of Renunciation. Two festivals are very close to Bhagavan in Tiruvarur. One of them is the Panguni Uttaram festival, which is Meena Masam or Falguna Masam, Uttara Falguni Nakshatram, which is mid-March to mid-April. And the other one is Margari Arudra, that is Dhanur Masam or Margasirsha Masam, Arudra Nakshatram, which is exactly 2 days from today. Bhagavan has also brought us together on a Shani Pradosham, one day after Vaikuntha Ekadasi. It is interesting because in Tiruvarur, every evening is celebrated as Pradosham for Bhagavan. Nityakala Pradosha Pujaye Namaha is another name for Tyagesha. And Bhagavan himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Masanam Margasirshoham, that is of the months, I am the Margasirsha Masam, the Margari Masam itself. It is in this Kamalaalayam Sabha that due to Bhagavan's anugraham, we come together to understand a little bit more about his Leelas of Tiruvarur and the Upakara of Devatas and Bhagavan himself. in this place. Many kshetras, punya kshetras in Bharatavarsha and Sanatana Dharma are such that there is one main central deity and then everything else springs forth from that. And then there are a few where there are many great deities, many great sannadhis, many great forms of Parabrahma Swarupam, and they all converge like the rivers coming together in the ocean. Tiruvarur belongs to the second category, where there are many shrines of Bhagavan, many shrines of Parabrahma Swarupam, and they all exist today in one place, having multiple Sthala Puranas which speak of its greatness. My earnest endeavour in this presentation will be to cover few shrines of importance in the temple, some important individuals associated with the city, and also some interesting tidbits along the way. So, Tiruvarur Tyagesha, the Emperor of the Eternal City, is the topic of the presentation that I have the good fortune of walking you all through today. In every Kshetra Puranam, Itihasam or narration in Sanatana Dharma begins with a few ground premises or ground rules, for lack of a better word. The first is the root of the narration, which in the case of Sanatana Dharma is always Veda Moola Pramanam, that is, everything emerges from the Vedas itself. The second is the premise of Nahi Ninda Nyayam, that is, it is said that whenever one specific form of Bhagavan is worshipped, no other form of Bhagavan gets denigrated or insulted in any manner whatsoever. By recounting the Mahatmyam of Shiva, for example, the greatness of Mahavishnu and Devi do not get reduced in any way. And in a similar manner, if one were to recollect the Leelas of Mahavishnu or Bhagavati, none of the other deities get denigrated in any manner. The third are the Puranas and the Upapuranas. Each of these have been narrated by Vedavyasa himself. Vedavyasa is said to be Bhagavan, and we know this through the Pramanam. Achatura Vadano Brahma, Dvibahuraparo Harihi, Afala Lochana Shambhuhu, Bhagavan Badarayanaha. That is, Vedavyasa himself is Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Those of us who say the Vishnu Sahasranamam would be very well acquainted with the shlokam Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave. It is through his Puranas and the Upapuranas that today we have the good fortune of knowing the Sthala Puranam of not just Tiruvarur but various other kshetras across the length and breadth of our country. The philosophical foundation of today's presentation is based in Advaitam, a school of thought which posits that there is no difference between the Jivatma and the Paramatma. Snigdhaji captured the essence of this in her Kriti when she mentions Tyagaraja or Bhagavan as Vikalpa Bheda Yuktaye. That is, he who destroys the illusion of manifoldness and brings together only a singularity, that is Bhagavan himself, and Bhagavan and the Bhakta is one, and there is no difference whatsoever. The last is a concept which was revived by Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada and is known by the name Shammata, or 6 presiding faiths. It venerates the 6 gods, each of whom is said to be a form of Parabrahma. Aditya, Ambika, Vishnu, Gananatham, Maheshwaram, and Subramanya. These 5 which I have mentioned today are what my presentation is based on. And with the blessings of the elders in this Sabha, I would now like to begin. So, to understand the Mahatmyam of Tiruvarur, to understand the Mahatmyam of all the Sannadhis and Swarupams of Bhagavan there, we have to go a long way back. So, we have to go all the way back to Naimisharanya, Neemsar in Uttar Pradesh. All narrations in Sanatana Dharma usually begin as a narration of an event which has already happened and that is then communicated to others. So in Naimisharanya, Shuka Maharishi, the Suputra of Vedavyasa, is sitting and narrating to sages the greatness of the Tiruvarur Kshetra. And then he begins his narration by stating that the beginning of Tiruvarur, you have to go beyond the beginning of time, but for everybody's benefit, we will go back all the way to the beginning of Satyayuga. So in Satya Yuga, Brahma Prajapati is in Kurukshetra. This is a Kurukshetra before Mahabharata has taken place. This is a Kurukshetra before Bhagavan Parshurama has offered Tarpana for his father. This is the Kurukshetra at the point of creation. So Brahma begins the yajna of creation. Living beings, non-living beings, animate and inanimate objects, all the worlds of this cosmos, all of them take birth from this yajna of Brahma. And as Brahma concludes this yajna, there is a bow, a dhanu, which emerges from this yajna, and then there is a voice which proclaims that the one who will claim this bow will be the greatest amongst all the worlds. So there are many devatas, there are many gods, they begin jostling for this. And Mahavishnu claims this bow for himself. And he goes around the length and breadth of the world, and eventually he reaches a very small town in Tamil Nadu. And there is an anthill over there. Mahavishnu begins to feel tired and he rests. He rests when he is leaning on the bow. The Devas come out as ants from the anthill. They begin to nibble away at the bow. The bow snaps and Mahavishnu's head is separated from his body. And as immediately as this takes place, Parameshwara comes out of the anthill and he places the head of a horse on Mahavishnu, breathes life into him, and then associated very specifically with Tiruvarur Tyagesha. And it is said that those who meditate upon Tyagaraja visualize and see too long. And then Shiva surmises it even more and he says, there are 8 kshetrams, if you remember this is sufficient. Kedar, Badri, Pushkara and so on. Ambar says this is also too long. And Bhagavan says, remember Hataka Kshetra, remember Hatakeshwara. That is equivalent to these 68. That is enough for this Kali Yuga. We've now covered the second of the 5. Now the third of the 5 is also a very interesting Shivlingam known by the name Achaleshwara. The Shiva Sahasranamam, when Bhishma Pitamaha narrates it to Yudhishthira, Bhishma Pitamaha narrates the Vishnu Sahasranamam, which we all know. Bhishma Pitamaha, once the Vishnu Sahasranamam concludes, also narrates the Shiva Sahasranamam to Yudhishthira. And the first 2 words which with it starts is Sthira, Sthanu. That is that which is unmoved and that which is immovable in nature. Achalam is a synonym of that. And that is why Bhagavan is known here by the name Achaleshwara. This Sanadhi is no more than 100 meters away from Hatakeshwara. The very interesting part of this Shivlingam is this faces the western direction, and this was worshipped by a king by the name Chamatkara Maharaja. The shadow in this temple always falls in the eastern direction, no matter where the diya or the deepa or the lamp is kept. Every time, even if the lamp is kept in front of the Shivlingam, the shadow always falls behind it. There was a very famous devotee who had a habit of collecting ghee in order to light lamps for Bhagavan in this kshetra. He was chased away by his neighbors and they mockingly told him, your Bhagavan holds a fire in his hand. It's the form of Nataraja of Bhagavan. Bhagavan holds a fire in his hand. They say, your Bhagavan holds a fire in his hand, go and ask him for oil. The devotee is so hurt, he goes right to Bhagavan and he tells him that, do I have to put up with such kind of an apamana because I am your devotee? And then Bhagavan speaks to him and tells him, prepare 1 crore deepas inside of this Tiruvarur Kshetra and fill them up with the water of the Kamalaalayam. And this devotee, Naminandi Adigal, does exactly that and he waits. At dusk, all 1 crore lamps light up on their own. Not a single one is left over. And that is why, because of this miracle which has taken place there, this kshetra gets another name. Chamatkarapuram. Because of Hatakeshwara existing in this kshetra, another name for Tiruvarur is Hataka Kshetra. Now it gets another name, Chamatkarapuram. This is the third of the 5 Panchalingas in Tiruvarur. The fourth of the 5 is also a very interesting one. In the Mahabharata as well as in the Skanda Purana, there was a very powerful Maharishi who had lost his soon-to-be wife to snake bite. Now while this Maharishi is able to bring his wife back to life with the help of the devas and medicines, he takes a vow that he will kill every single serpent that he sees in his way. And he does that for a very long time. So this Maharishi comes to Tiruvarur and he is about to kill one very large water snake which is known by the name Dundubi. Before he is about to strike this Dundubi, the Dundubi speaks to him and tells him, I have not committed any harm to you, why do you want to kill me? And then the Maharishi recounts and says, I have taken this vow and I must kill every snake that comes my way. And the Dundubi calms him and tells him that if you spare my life, I will initiate you into the Shadakshari mantra, which will give you various siddhis if you like. So the Maharishi, he calms himself and he becomes the Shishya to this Dundubi, and he is given Diksha and he finally attains the Shadakshari mantra. And as the Dundubi offers the Shadakshari mantra, once the lesson concludes, this Dundubi slithers away, becomes a Devata and returns to Devaloka. And this Maharishi is looking at this Drishya. But what he hasn't realized is, as the Dundubi has slithered away, the Dundubi was curled around a Shivalinga over there. And this Maharishi, now that he has been initiated into the Shadakshari mantra, the Shadakshari mantra is Om Namah Shivaya. This Maharishi says it only once. Parameshwara appears in front of him. And Parameshwara grants him Hamsa Siddhi, Mantra Siddhi, and also Santana Prapti. Because of this granting of Siddhi, which takes place over here in the fourth of the Panchalinga Kritis, this Samadhi is known by the name Siddhishvara. The last of the five is in the northwestern corner of the overall Tiruvarur Tyagesha temple enclosure. There was a Maharshi by the name Mankana who was deep in tapas. He is suddenly bit by an insect or a snake, and from his thumb, vegetable juice or vegetable extract begins to ooze out. Mankana realizes that he has attained Siddhi, and he becomes very happy and he begins to joy, and he dances out of joy. What Mankana does not realize is he is dancing on the Chitrashila, the foundation of Bhuloka itself. The entire world begins to shake. And a very old, frail Siddha comes and asks Mankana, what happened? And then Mankana Maharishi tells him, see this, you see my thumb? I have attained Siddhi. And the old man smiles at him, takes a pin, pricks his thumb, and there is a rush of vibhuti which comes from the thumb. Mankana Maharishi realizes that this is Parameshwara himself who has granted him darshan. He immediately falls at Parameshwara's feet and seeks forgiveness. Parameshwara, being the Ashutoshi that he is, forgives him. And then Mankana Maharishi follows it up and says, stay here and grant this joyful darshan to all of your devotees. And so Bhagavan resides here by the name Anandeshwara, Lord of Joy. And this Vigraham is Anandeshwara, where Bhagavan resides. A very interesting fact along with Anandeshwara, which is the last of the Panchalingas, is that the Jiva Samadhi of Kamalamuni, a Mahasiddha, is said to be right next to this Sanadhi itself. The 18 Mahasiddhas are a concept which is very specific to erstwhile Tamil Nadu, modern day Tamil Nadu and Andhra. There is Bhoga Siddha, his Jiva Samadhi is supposed to be in Parani. There is Pambati Siddha, whose Jiva Samadhi is supposed to be in the famous Marudamalai Muruga temple. There is Dhanvantri Siddha, his Jiva Samadhi is supposed to be below a well in Vaidiswaran Kovil, and so on and so forth. These 18 Mahasiddhas are in Jiva Samadhi, that is, they are still awake, very much alive, and they do the bidding of Bhagavan in those specific kshetras. As I mentioned in the start of my presentation, Shanmata, that is Aditya, Ambika, Vishnu, Gananatham, Maheshwaram, Skandam. We've spoken about Bhagavan, Parameshwara. We've spoken about Shiva. We made a mention about Subramanya as well because he resides in the Hatakeshwara Devasthana. Now it is time to come to Ambal. See, Ambal manifests in many forms in this temple. I will take two of the most important ones in this presentation of mine. The consort of Tyagaraja is known by the name Nilotpalambika, or she who is born from the blue lotus. One of Ambal's other names is Ayonija, that is, she does not need to be born in any womb to come to life. Many Maharishis, when they have ever, due to their tapas, found Ambal, they have found Ambal Swayambhu Rupini in any specific place. Katyayana has found Katyayani Ambal. The great Vaishnavite saint found Andal Kodai in Sriviliputtur. In the same way, Ambal manifests here, born from the blue lotus, hence the name Nilotpalamika. She holds the Salavriksha Pushpam, that is the Patali Vriksha's Pushpa. It is red in color. Another hand of Ambal, which we can see over here, is on top of her son Balasubramanya. And Balasubramanya himself is held by Ambal's Dasi. Ambal in this very specific Sannadhi faces south. South is the direction of death. But Ambal faces south to keep death away, and she is also Dakshinamurti Swarupini, because in this form, Ambal teaches the entire world the 32 dharmas which have to be abided by every human being. And of those 32, Annadanam is said to be the greatest of them all. Just as there is Nilotpalambika, there is Kamalambika. Kamalambika is in the northwesternmost part of the temple. No one really knows how and why Ambal has come to be here. And that is why Ambal is referred to in this temple as Adishakti Swarupini. And she is also a personification of Lalita Tripura Sundari Parabhattarika. Ambal is Swayambhu, and she has a separate enclosure for herself. A separate Vahana, a separate Bhajastambha, a separate Bali Pitha, and she is in the entire enclosure, and all the deities along with this have been established by Agastya Maharishi in accordance with the Sri Vidya Sampradaya. The earliest reference of Ambal being here comes from the Skanda Purana, and it mentions a place by the name Chitreshwari Pitham. The Chitreshwari Pitham is said to have all the energies of the 52 Shakti Pithas and the 64 Yoginis, all of them in one place, and that is why Ambal resides over here. The very interesting asana which Ambal has of one leg over the other is called as the Kutika asana. This is one which is very intimately known by practitioners of Sri Vidya Tantra and other Tantra Sampradayas. And Ambal also holds the Patali Pushpam. This Swarupam of Ambal is a manifestation of Lakshmi, Saraswati and Durga. And because of Ambal residing here, the city also gets the name Sri Vidya Nagaram, Sri Vidyapuram as well. Ambal, Bhagavan, Parameshwara, Subramanya, Ganapati. Tiruvarur, in addition to all of these great Mahatmas, is also known as the Mooladhara Chakra of the entire world. There are various other kshetras which are associated with the other chakras of Ashtanga Yoga. Kashi is one, Tiruvannamalai is one, Chidambaram is another, Kailasam or Amarnath is said to be the Sahasraram and all of this. The Mooladharam or the base is Tiruvarur. And the Chakra Devata of the Mooladhara Chakra is Ganapati. Ganapati in this temple is present in 86 different vigrahas inside of one large temple enclosure. The most famous of this is the Mooladhara Vinayaka, which one can see over here. Mooladhara Vinayaka does not have a separate Sannadhi for himself. He is in a pillar in the greater Sabha of Tiruvarur Tyagesha himself. There is also a very interesting Ganapati here by the name Navagraha Vinayaka or Amalaka Vinayaka. At one point when an Asura was greatly troubling the world, the Navagrahas go to Ganapati and they seek his refuge. And Ganapati tells them, you will never trouble very greatly the people who visit Tiruvarur from here on. And the Navagrahas agree to this. And that is why Ganapati in that specific place is no larger than an amla fruit. And hence he gets the name Amalaka Vinayaka or Nellikai Pillai or Nellikai Ganapati over here. The very famous Kriti of Muthuswami Dikshidhar, Vatapi Ganapatim Vajayaham. The Vatapi Ganapatim which Muthuswami Dikshidhar sings about is the Vatapi Ganapati in Tiruvarur. And in the same way, along with this Vatapi Ganapati, there are various other Ganapatis. There is the famous Swarnakarshana Ganapati, that is a Ganapati who makes gold rain down on his devotees. There is the Vallabha Ganapati, that is a Ganapati who has 10 hands and has his consort next to him. And there is also the Uchishta Ganapati, a very specific form of Ganesha which is very close for Tantra practitioners and those who follow the Tantra and the Shakta Sampradayas. So, Parameshwara, Subramanya, Ambal and Ganapati. Now it is time to see Mahavishnu. In my Dhyana Shlokam I had mentioned Shrikanto Makalo Yasya. That is, he whose uncle is Srikanta or Mahavishnu himself. Mahavishnu also has a separate Sannidhi for himself. It is Chaturmasya, Ashada Masa to Kartika Masa. Mahavishnu is not in Kshirasagar. Adisesha does not know where he is. Mahalakshmi does not know where he is. Garuda does not know where he is. And when they go and ask Narada, where is Mahavishnu? Narada tells him, oh, he is in Tiruvarur. He is in Tiruvarur behind the Sannidhi of his sister Kamalaalayam. And while Mahavishnu's name over here is Jalashayana Mahavishnu, he is also known by the name Chaturmasya Mahavishnu because he spends the entire Chaturmasya over here in Tiruvarur itself. In another Dhyana Shloka of mine, when I mentioned Darshanat Aprasadasi Jananat Kamalaalayam, that is, those who have darshan of Chidambara, those who leave their mortal coils in Kashi, those who simply think of Tiruvannamalai, and those who are born in Tiruvarur, all of them are assured of Mukti. So, those who are born in Tiruvarur are all Shivaganas. Yamadharmaraja has nothing for him to do over there. So, Yamadharmaraja goes and submits this problem to Parmeshwara and tells him, I have nothing to do here. Then Tyagesha smiles at him and tells him, oh, it's okay. You also become a Chandikeshwara over here. So there are two Chandikeshwaras in this temple. One is Adi Chandikeshwara, where Adi Chandikeshwara does not even hold his axe. He is simply an Anjali Mudram. And the other is Yama Chandikeshwara over here. There are Navagrahas also here. But usually we know Navagrahas when they show up in a 3x3 format. 3 in the front, 3 in the middle, 3 behind. In Tiruvarur, all 3 of them stand in one straight line. Because Nellikai Pillayar, Nellikai Ganapati, Amlaka Ganapati has taken a promise from them that they will all be very gentle towards people who visit Tiruvarur. And so, guarded by and instructed by Nellikai Pillayar, all the Navagrahas are in one straight line. There are very few temples which have this configuration. Tiruvarur is one of them. There is a Rahukala Durga which is very unique and specific to this temple. The power of all the 12 Adityas, all the 12 forms of Aditya manifest in Tiruvarur, and he is known by the name Pushpa Aditya. So with this I have covered all the 6 Shanmatas that day. Aditya, Ambika, Vishnu, Gananatham, Maheshwaram and Skanda. There are various Bhagavans over here who manifest in Tiruvarur. Saraswati is there in Dhyanam without a Veena. Mahalakshmi is doing Dhyanam. All of the other Devas and Devatas are doing Dhyanam over here. And a very interesting feature in Tiruvarur is a place known as a Deva Siriya Mandapa. There is a mandapa where Bhagavan resides, and there is a running practice in Tiruvarur that whenever one visits this temple, the first shrine to visit is the Deva Siriya Mandapa and to pray over there and do Namaskaram over there and then keep going. Deva Siriya Mandapa is a place where Bhaktas are supposed to rest. Now this gives birth to 2 questions. Why should a Bhakta be done Namaskaram to? And why exactly Bhaktas were here in Tiruvarur? The answer is in 2 parts. The first, why should a Bhakta be done Namaskaram to? All of us know that Bhaktas have a very special place in Bhagavan's heart. Bhakta Vatsala is the name of Bhagavan. Bhakta Rakshaka is the name of Bhagavan. Bhakta Janashrayancha Varada is the name of Bhagavan. Dasa Mudasa is another name of Bhagavan. All of these are there. And in the Yajurveda, in the Rudram, in the first Anvakam of the Rudram itself, there is a Pramanam which says, Satvano Hante Bhyokaram Namaha. That is, I do Namaskaram to you, Bhagavan or Rudra, and I also do Namaskaram to your Bhaktas. Now we know that there is a Pramanam which says Bhaktas need to be done Namaskaram to. The second question is why? The answer to this question was there in the Upodghata Kriti which Snigdhaji sang, in where she has mentioned Bhagavan as Vikalpa Bheda Yuktaye. That is, the one who destroys the illusion of manifoldness. And then there is only the Bhakta and Bhagavan, both of them are one and the same. Adi Shankara took this a step further and he explains Advaitam and he says that if a small spulingam or a spark or an ember comes out from a greater fire, the spulingam and the greater fire are similar. Both of them give out heat. Both of them will singe if you touch them. And then when the smaller spulingam goes back to the greater Agni, they become one. And there is absolutely no distinction between the spulingam and the greater Agni. In the same way, there is no distinction in Advaitam between the Bhakta and Bhagavan. Bhagavan is Bhakta, Bhakta is Bhagavan. There is no distinction at all. Advaitam Paramarthataha. That is, those who believe in the Advaita Sampradayam always posit that once when somebody becomes a Bhakta of Bhagavan, then there is no distinction between Bhagavan and the Bhakta himself. Every Vrishchika Masam, Vrishchika Mandalam, we see so many gentlemen wearing black saying Swami Sharanam Ayyappa. And there is also a practice to tell them that they are Swami, they are Ayyappa themselves. The walking, talking example of Advaitam is there. The existing Sthita example of Advaitam comes from the Devasiriya Mandapam in Tiruvarur. No narration of Tiruvarur is ever complete without mentioning the most favorite saint from that city, Sundaramurti Nayana. So, Sundaramurti Nayana is a Shivagana who is with Shiva, and he is also known by the name Halala Sundara, because it is this Halala Sundara who scoops up the Visha and he gives it to Bhagavan to drink. Eventually, Halala Sundara takes birth in Bhuloka. He is born to a family of priests and he is raised by a king. During his wedding, there is a sadhu who comes, stops the wedding and says, Sundara is my servant. Sundara is my slave. And he proves it with a palm leaf inscription which says, the entire family of Sundara are my servants. So Sundara then, so the old man then proves it to the Panchayat and to the Sabha. And then Sundara has to follow the old man. Now this old man takes him all the way to a place called Tiruvannai-Nallur. And in Tiruvannai-Nallur, he takes him to the Kripapurishwara temple. He tells Sundara to wait right outside the Garbhagriha. The old man walks into the Garbhagriha and he merges with Shiva. And Sundara then realizes this Leela and he realizes that this is who I was in my previous birth. And then Shiva tells him that this is who you are and this is your purpose in this lifetime. And then Sundara immediately attains Vaksiddhi and then he asks Bhagavan, how do I begin singing to you? And then Bhagavan says, when I took you away from your wedding, you called me Pitta. Pitta in Tamil means madman. And then he tells Sundara, start by singing with the name Pitta. And then Sundara begins by singing Pitta Pirai Sudi Perumani. That is Pitta, madman. Pirai Sudi, he who has the moon in his locks. Perumani means great one. Sundara also gets a very interesting name. When Shiva is speaking to his devotees, he refers to Sundara as Nam Toda. Sundara's position is such that Bhagavan himself tells everybody that Sundara is my friend. So the rest of the world gets to know him as Tambaran Toda, that is the friend of the emperor. Tiruvarur after all, Bhagavan is Akhanda Samrajya Chakravarti and the emperor himself, so he gets the name Tambaran Toda. Sundara prays to Bhagavan by regarding him as a friend. In Tamil Saiva Siddhantam, there are 4 margas which you can take to reach God. One is Suputra Margam, where you regard Bhagavan as your father. One is San Margam, that is you regard Bhagavan to be the central most teaching across all the Vedas, Itihasas, Puranas and Upanishads. The third is Dasa Margam, where you consider Bhagavan as your master and you as his servant. And the last is Sakha Margam, where you can take Bhagavan as a friend. Sundara takes Bhagavan as a friend. And usually very tight friendships also bring with it a lot of comedy. They bring with it also a lot of endearing earnestness. So what does Sundara do when he knows Bhagavan is his friend? This now follows over here. In Kanchipuram, in a place called Monakandan Tali, it's a temple there, Sundara has lost his eyesight. He cannot see with both his eyes. So he is struggling to walk. He has a walking stick in his hand and he is struggling. And inside of the temple, he looks at Bhagavan and he tells him, people go through Sadhya Sakti. That is the 7.5 years where Shani's influence is the greatest. And he looks at Bhagavan and tells him, you are worse than Sadhya Sakti because you have made me blind. Usually we think twice before we say anything towards Bhagavan, but Sundara has that privilege to call Bhagavan as a friend and tell him, I cannot do anything with you, you don't do anything for me. And in the same Kanchipuram later, Sundara gets back eyesight in one of his eyes. So he constantly looks between Kanchi Kamakshi and Ekaparesha. And he looks at Kanchi Kamakshi and he tells her, you are the mother of the universe, the cosmos. You feed everyone. And your husband wanders around with a begging bowl in his hand. Isn't this very embarrassing? And then in the next shloka itself, Sundara gives the answer and he says, your husband has to go with a begging bowl in his hand because he is a Bhagavan who is prayed to by all sannyasis. So he has to teach them how they have to conduct themselves. So that's why Bhagavan does this. Another lovely example of Sundara and his very close relationship with Bhagavan is when Sundara is in Tiruvarur, he has a fallout with his wife. So Sundara, like all great souls, has to send an intermediary to calm his wife down. So he tells Tyagesha, he tells him, my wife is angry. Please go tell her to calm down. Tyagesha walks on the streets of Tiruvarur, goes to Sundara's house, and he calls out to his wife and tells her that your husband wants to make peace. His wife does not know that this is Tyagesha who has walked and come there. She is still furious. She can only do the one thing she knows. She yells at Bhagavan. She throws her utensils at him, which Bhagavan dodges. She throws rocks at him, which Bhagavan also dodges. And Bhagavan comes back and tells this to Sundara. Sundara says, no, it's okay. You can win her over. Go one more time. Bhagavan goes the second time, a similar thing happens. Because Bhagavan has walked twice around Tiruvarur, Nandikeshwara is so worried that he does not sit over here. He stands here on four legs because he knows Bhagavan will go anytime outside in the city. He will go anytime and go ask for the well-being of his subjects. He will go and ask them, are you doing well? Do you have enough to eat? Do you have enough clothes? Do you have aharam for tomorrow? All of these small activities is what Bhagavan does in Tiruvarur. That is why Nandikeshwara stands in this temple. He does not sit here. He stands here on his four legs. But these are many interesting and lovely recollections which Sundara has with Bhagavan. Sundara goes around the length and breadth of Tamil Nadu and Kerala and he sings songs in 108 temples across. And during the course of his journeys, he also makes very close friendship with Cheraman Perumal, the then ruling monarch of Kerala. Cheraman Perumal and Sundaramurti Nayanar, they go to Vanjaikalam, a very famous place in Kerala, which is very close to the Kodunganallur Bhagavati Sannadhi. In Vanjaikalam, both of them know that their time in Bhulokam is coming to an end. So, after praying to Bhagavan in the Vanjaikalam temple, Bhagavan himself sends a white elephant which takes Cheraman Perumal and Sundara, and it takes them both to Kailasam, and both of them merge with the feet of Bhagavan. And Sundara's great life lasted only 19 years. Sundaramurti Nayanar, despite having had such an illustrious history, was one of many saints who visited Tiruvarur. But there are only three very famous people we know who were born in Tiruvarur: Kakarla Tyagabrahman, Shamakrishna Shastri, and Muthuswami Dikshit. Muthuswami Dikshit was born in Tiruvarur, Porandal Mukti. These three great men were born in Tiruvarur. It was almost as though Tyagesha said, you be born here, wherever you go your Sangeetam will reach me, and when your lives are done you will return to me. Muthuswami Dikshit learns music from his elders and he is later initiated into Sri Vidya and other Guhya Vidyas by his guru Chidambaranatha Yogi. And Muthuswami Dikshit sings all of his songs inserting his mudra or his pen name Guru Guha in each of them. And in some of them he also mentions his guru as Chidanandanatha. Some of the most famous kritis of Muthuswami Dikshit include the Tiruvarur Panchalinga kritis, the five lingas which I spoke about earlier. He has composed the Kamalambika Navavarna kritis. He has composed the Tyagaraja Nilotpanambika Ashtami Bhakti kritis as well. And he has also composed various kritis on Vinayaka inside of this temple. Vatapi Ganapatin Vajay, as I mentioned, Mooladhara Chakra Vinayaka, Ushchishta Ganapato, and so many other kshetras in addition to Tiruvarur that Muthuswami Dikshit has visited. Srirangam, Banaras, and so many other places that we know of in and around Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and all across the subcontinent today. Tiruvarur has also had the great fortune of being visited by many famous saints. So, some examples which I would like to share are Sundaramurti Nayanar, he has visited Tiruvarur, and the other three Tamil saints as part of that Tamil quartet have also visited Tiruvarur, so much so that the most number of Tevarams or Tamil hymns have been sung to Tiruvarur itself. Chidambaram comes second, Tiruvarur is the one which has the most number of Tevarams in that temple. In addition to these four saints, the Avadhuta Chintamani and the crown jewel of all Avadhutas, Sadashiva Brahmendra has visited this temple. Sadashiva Brahmendra's Paramaguru, Paramashivendra Saraswati has visited this temple, and so many others. Tiruvarur has also had the good fortune of being the capital city for the Pallavas, Cholas. The Pandyas have also ruled in the city for a while, and the last dynasty to have ruled them were the Maratha Nayakas, each of whom gave a tremendous amount of donations and upkeep for this temple itself. There are also many prayers dedicated to the deities in this temple. When the Tyagaraja Vigraha was on Mahavishnu's chest, Mahavishnu used to worship this Vigraham by the Mukunda Sahasranamavali. And when Indra took this Vigraham to Devaloka, he prayed to it with the Indra Sahasranamavali. And when Muchukunda Chakravarti brought it down to Bhuloka, the Muchukunda Sahasranamavali was composed in order to pray to Bhagavan Tyagesha. In the Padma Puranam also there is the Sanat Kumara Krita Tyagaraja Ashtottara Shatanamavali. And in the same manner, Muthuswami Desha composed the Tyagaraja Ashtakam, and Narayana Tirtha Parampara Guru also composed the Kamalaalayam Ashtakam as well. And in this prayer, Sundaramurti Nayanar mentions a very interesting phrase in Tamil. When he says, Appalum Adichandam Adiyarkum Adiyen. That is, I am a servant of servants, of those beyond space and time. This can have two interpretations. One is that Sundaramurti Nayanar says, I am the servant of servants of all of those Shiva Bhaktas who are outside of this loka and beyond in multiple frames of time. The other explanation for this can be that I am a servant of those Shiva Bhaktas who are yet to come or who are outside of Bharatavarsha itself. And it is with this last phrase that I would like to bring my presentation to an end. It is with Bhagavan's Kripa and the blessings of all of the elders that I have done my utmost best in presenting and conveying the Mahatmyam of Tiruvarur Tyagaraja. I humbly seek forgiveness for any errors or shortcomings during my talk, and let us all jointly conclude this by placing this humble offering at the lotus feet of Adishakti Kamalambika, Somakulambika Sameta Valmikalinga, Nilotpalambika Sameta Tyagaraja Swami. And I hope and pray that Bhagavan grants us the fulfillment of all of our wishes. Chaturnam Purusharthanam Tyagam Yasmat Karotyataha Tyagaraja Vitikhyattam Somas Kannam Upasmahe Shri Hare Namaha Gopika Jivana Smaranam Govinda Govinda Hara Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Mahadev.
We know. This is something overwhelming. This is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Girish.
Good. This is start. You may say, where are we now? Yes.
That is what it is. Absolutely fantastic. I know. It's wonderful, and thank you so very much. And we feel so blessed that somehow this happens to be Kamalaalayam, and then you coming here and talking about it. We feel so blessed. Thank you so very much, and we thank your parents first. Really,
Absolutely.
Yeah, you are their product. Somebody blind the grandmother, sweetness and her blessings. I'm so great. I'm so thankful to you. And Anand, come with me. We'll just honor Girish. Idol baby, idol Krishna, and it comes with lots of blessings. And we
Switch on all the lights.
Thank you so much. What a very, very good beginning for the whole talk.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
It was nice, very good evening today we had. Geeta, Muralidhar, and we are all, we are associated for a very long time. Maybe more than 30 years. Yeah. More than that. 30 years.
83.
From 83, sorry.
40 years.
Yeah. Anyway, sometime before, actually, when she was, I used to meet Geeta once in a while when I go to Mumbai. And after we lost touch, somehow we got a contact, and then Geeta used to share about, tutu we call.
Tutu is good, totally fine.
Okay. Girish, but we call like pet name is Tutu. So she used to say, Hari, Tutu is writing a lot of articles on Shiva. I said, is that? Then she told about his Facebook ID, all those stuff. Then when I started going through that, I was simply astonished. The way he was writing, I was wondering what this guy is up to. My God. And to be frank, I could read a few stories about what he has written. After that, I didn't get into the Facebook and other stuff. Again, after some time, Geeta again, she called me and said, Hari, Tutu is giving a lecture on this one, Tyagesha, why don't you come and attend? I said, I will try. Because I had some other prayer with this one, I was wondering whether I will be able to make it. Well, then after this one was over, I decided that yes, we should go. And when I came here, my God, thanks to that girl, Miss Tikta, who gave a very good start beginning with a very nice song. And then when Tutu started giving a discussion on that, this one about Tyagesha, I was simply spellbound because the amount of research, amount of work he has put on that, amount of efforts he has taken to collect about Tyagesha and other thing. And not only that, I heard that he has collected lots of things about various Shiva temples in Tamil Nadu. This cannot come just like that for anyone unless he has the divine blessings. Right? When I came inside, when I came here, I was talking to, when we were discussing, and then I told Geeta, in Tamil, Ennathavum Sedanai. What great penance you did to get such a wonderful child. It's not easy because these days, everyone is, 99.99% everyone is fully materialistic. And these youngsters, okay, they have their own, this one, we cannot blame anyone. Everyone needs money, so everyone is focused on running behind different things, and at the end we find there's nothing. In such a crowd, there is a guy who is taking care of his day-to-day activities, taking care of his family, taking care of this one, and doing research on that Shiva means it is, and that is what I felt. There is this one about Sundara, that Shiva is a great friend. I could feel that Shiva has selected Tutu to spread such, good information about. It's not, I'm not judging, it's not saying nothing.
Voice over.
These days when let me tell you, these days when we go to temple, even myself when we go to temple, we go and see the murtis, we do this prayers, we do some archanas, and then we come. Hardly we have time to get into the details. Hardly we have time to get into the details, see what is the background. We know some information which we have studied in those days. This age, he has got into the various details and collected and sharing to all of us is something, phenomenal, and I was spellbound. And so, I don't know what more words to say. Here, yes, Shiva has brought him here for the greater purpose. It's time only will tell, right? So, I really first you should thank Geeta and Muralidhar for asking us to come here, and I think that it's a very good evening I spent today. I wish you all success and happy married life, and I couldn't come to this marriage. So anyway, God bless you, Girish.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And one more great thing I noticed in the beginning, I forgot, I wanted to tell. Before starting, anyone will go and start just like that. This guy, what he did, he went and first made pranam to his mother, then father, then to his grandma. Such a wonderful quality. Such a wonderful quality. This will take him to greater heights. So nice, so nice.
Anybody else wants to ask questions? Girish is ready. She's my cousin sister. Her name is Lady. She's come from Malleshwaram all alone.
All alone.
That is
I'm Krishna Veni, cousin sister of Muralidhar. And your aunt?
Yes.
Krishna. And all the virtues has been already. I think I'm little less of vocabulary left. I'm very happy, Girish. Today being a very special day for me, you took me around Tiruvarur Tyagesha. And I'm 60 today. And I'm very happy whom I should worship at this point. Tyagesha in Kannada means I'm a Kannadiga, Telugu, but married to a Kannadiga, more a Kannadiga. Tyagesha means Tyaga. You should sacrifice. Whatever we have. Yeah, sacrifice. And thank you.
Thank you.
This is the greatest thing in my life. And I think I did a very great thing. I'm really honored to be here.
No, the honor is ours. The honor is ours.
And listen to you talking as small child, of course. Yeah. And as he said already, like a man of virtues. And so like son. And you too, ma'am. I'm very happy. I don't know, I'm lost in words. Thank you all. Thank you all for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Who gave a very big beginning. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you.
If there's any questions from anyone, any details I may have missed out, anything anyone would like to know, happy to walk you all through it. It's a large topic. I've just taken very small pinch of sand from the proverbial ocean, or the seashore rather. So if there's anything else that you would like to know, I'm happy to take you all through it now.
I have this one. Shadakshara mantra is Sharavana Bhava.
It is Sharavana Bhava. There are many ways of saying so. One is the Shadakshari, which is Sharavana Bhava. Skanda Puranam, especially the Nagara Khandam, that one which glorifies Tiruvarur, mentions the Shadakshari as the Panchaksharam along with the Omkar.
Along the Om.
Yeah.
Along with the Om.
Yeah. Yes.
Girish, I have a request. Shiva is known for Manobhimani Devate, right? Who controls emotions and shows us the way. Can you throw more light on us on that particular aspect?
Absolutely. So, the concept of control on the mind, I'll just go to the mic itself. So, if we see the Soma Skanda Vigraham, a very unique, interesting feature is this is the control of the mind. And the Man or the Hiran is said to represent the human mind itself. The Hiran's nature, the deer's nature is such that it is skittish. It keeps going from one place to another. But Bhagavan, by holding the deer in his hand, signifies that he has overcome the temptations of the mind and he exhorts his devotees to do the exact same thing. Whenever there is every Bhagavan or every form of Bhagavan, Bhagavati has a Dhyana Shlokam. Dhyana Shlokam for Bhagavan Parameshwara begins as Shantam Padmasanastham Shashitara Mukutam Pancharattam Trinitram. So immediately when you pray to your Bhagavan or Rupam of Bhagavan of choice, as per Advaita Sampradayam, you will take those characteristics onto yourself. So when one prays to Shiva, one gets the qualities of Shiva itself. Patience is one. Also the ability to see through multiple avaranas to see what the exact truth is. That also becomes a trait which Shiva Bhaktas tend to imbibe as they spend time praying to him.
Thank you.
And also they say, if you look closely at the deer, it's not looking anywhere else, it's looking at the face of Shiva.
Bhagavan himself.
So that steady focus, just that side, that's all that you need for moksha. It's indicating.
Anything, any other questions from anyone else? That's all of them.
She wants to ask
Want to say
something.
Please.
Well, I really appreciate the kind of connects that you have made. I think in my personal view, the only other person who connected with so much of metaphor is Arunagirinathar. Really confluences every deity to Murugan. So in that way you confluenced every deity to Shiva today. So I could only see that as one commonplace. It's a beautiful rendition. There's so much you have covered, picked up every nuance of almost every Purana in one sense of the term. Because many more, Shiva himself is endless, so this is endless. And I like the way you, there was not a single moment where, either, I can talk about myself. Either my eye or my ear was away from you. It was so enrapturing, or whatever you want to call it. So that's really awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, please,
go ahead.
please, go ahead.
I don't need the mic.
Okay, sure, that's not You can
be seen.
Can I move this?
Yeah, you can.
Please go ahead.
Be careful, the lamp is there. Be careful of us.
Yeah, she's good. You good? Okay.
I may have several questions when I look back at.
Oh, feel free,
but
please.
The only question I have now is when you are explaining about Hatakeshwara, is the sthalam or is the location of the Hatakeshwara linga somehow connected to the tunnel that leads to?
It is.
Okay.
It is, yes. So the tunnel used to be the connection between Bhuloka to Patalaloka, where the actual original Hatakeshwara is there.
Oh.
That tunnel was closed by Indra with the Raptashringa mountain. So because that tunnel gets blocked out, Bhagavan directs everybody else to worship the Hatakeshwara in Tiruvarur itself. Same punya, same outcome, and then the same amount of blessings that you get from it.
Okay, but if I'm not wrong, I think you said that Indra wanted it to be opened, right? Was it?
He wanted it to be closed.
Oh.
So the deeper story to this is, Vritrasura, the Asura who fought Indra, used to worship this Hatakeshwara in Patalaloka because it had almost given him that Indra Padam. Indra does not want anybody else to worship there. So he asked the Raptashringa mountain to block out the entire tunnel. And they say even today in the Skanda Puranam that the only shrine where you will be tested and challenged the most to visit is the Hatakeshwara Sannadhi, because Indra does not want you to visit there. So he will deliberately make it difficult for you to go, but if you're in your persistence with bhakti, in your persistence of your efforts, if you actually go and worship there, then you get the equal benefits of the Hatakalingam in Patalaloka.
Thank you.
So much of answers. Nice. Thank you.
It has been a wonderful evening with such a wonderful audience, and I should thank Mrs. Ambika, Shri Ananthanarayanan and his entire family for hosting us, and our friends who have come from such faraway places and spending their time, energy, everything to come and listen to Girish. And as Amma said, where are we now? The spell was broken at the end only. So
They have
I thank
slight
you.
energy, but they're going back energized.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And to my dear sister, I wish her all the best in life and a wonderful life ahead. Thank you very much, and for making it this far. And thank you for each one and every one of you. I extend my grateful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.